Recording in progress. And I also want to make sure that I can get the screen share happening. Start share, share, and why is this? Okay. I'm super excited that you guys are here. I'm so excited about this free group. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of backstory, like as if you don't know me, even though most of you guys know me a little bit. Where's my cursor? Why did I lose it? Oh, there we go. Okay. So for those of you who do not know, because this is going to be recorded for everybody in the group, my name is Jessie. I am a certified personal trainer with a specialization in pre and postnatal fitness. The certification is relatively new, but I have been a fitness freak my whole entire life. I've learned a heck of a lot through having 8 kids, 7 pregnancies to full term, one of which was a twin pregnancy. So I've learned a whole lot about, you know, prenatal exercise, labor and delivery, postpartum recovery, just how important it is to be healthy and active and strong while raising kids and having energy and all of that jazz. But recently I decided to get certified because I just really wanted to be able to help women even more, and have that certification next to my name to have the expertise that I wanted to have. So this free group really, more than anything, it's still about helping me and helping you guys. So regardless of like how much I learn, I still need help on the support, accountability, and motivational end. We are not meant to exist in isolation. It's very, very hard. I think for everybody, we're social creatures, especially women. We want to feel supported. We want to feel like other people are in the same boat. And so this free group is just an opportunity for me to gather all you guys around me and help me get back on track after a rough start to the year. My husband hurting his back. I got sick, which ended up taking up 2 weeks of like getting off the fitness train. And I think that's a very typical place to be this time of year because you may have set some fitness goals, tried to get going in January. And this is usually 4 to 5, 6 weeks into the year when people start to just kind of fall off. And so let's get back at it. I'm super excited for this free group. And one thing that I really want to emphasize is just why we're exercising and why it's so important. So this presentation is going to be all about like why building muscle matters. And it's so much simpler to put an exercise routine in your life than you think it is. So I just really want to empower you that it is extremely simple. You just have to know a little bit and then start doing. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can move. Something is up with my cursor. I want to make sure you guys can see. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Okay, why strength training? So there's a couple names I'm going to drop during this presentation. I highly recommend you look them up on Instagram so you start following some people who are going to reinforce this messaging for you. So Dr. Stacy Sims is an awesome name in this field. She's done a ton of research on women. She's famous for the phrase, women are not small men. She's done a ton of research on our hormones, our cycle, what kind of exercise is really good for us. Here is what she says. She says that strength training is crucial for women of all ages because it significantly impacts bone density, muscle preservation, brain health, and hormone balance, particularly as women age. And we can help mitigate the effects of declining estrogen levels without excessive muscle bulk. So that is a myth we will talk about. You will not get bulky by strength training. She emphasizes that women should prioritize resistance training over solely focusing on cardio exercise due to its unique benefits for their physiology. We will get to cardio and just talking a little bit about that. But what is super, super important is that we work on let me admit someone to the group, is that we work on our skeletal muscle. So our skeletal muscle is the muscle that we actually have control over. So we have muscle in our heart, we have muscle in our intestines, we have other muscle in our body, but the muscle that we can control and that we can grow is our skeletal muscle. So any muscle that you can of your own will move that muscle. And what is so cool about building muscle, if you think about muscle as an organ, it's an organ that you can grow, like of your own action. Like all of your organs regenerate over time. You're always making new cells and repairing organs, right? But our muscle, we can actually impact how much it grows, which is so cool. If you actually think about your muscle as an organ, you have so much control over the strength, the health of that organ. And it is an organ that is so vital for our longevity. So that's one name, Dr. Stacy Sims. Look her up on Instagram right now if you have your phone. If you're not using your phone for this call, start to follow her. Something's up with my cursor. It's not. There we go. Oop, go back. Go back. Okay, I think that's the next one. Okay, Dr. Gabrielle Lyon is another amazing name in the field of exercise for women. She wrote a book called Forever Strong. She's written a couple of other books, but you can look her up. I have amazing podcast episodes from her. Some of them are already shared in the group, but I'll share more over the next couple of weeks. She's a board certified family medicine doctor who specializes in nutritional sciences and geriatrics, so specifically in women as they age. And she says that muscle is important because it's the largest endocrine organ system in the body. It helps with glucose disposal, bone health, brain function, and more. She also says that muscle-centric medicine can help people reverse age and help disease-related conditions. Muscle matters because it's the organ of longevity. So when we talk about the endocrine organ system, we're talking about metabolism. So there's two key points from Dr. Lyon. One is that building muscle helps support your metabolism. And the other thing is it helps with your metabolic health because it helps with glucose disposal and using glucose as energy. So again, just another reason why building muscle is such a vital thing for us to do. Also, because you lose 5 to 8% of your lean muscle every 10 years after you pass 30 years old. So if you are 30 right now, you are at your peak potential fitness level. I found this to be fascinating. So you, of course, can become more fit. So say you're 30 years old right now and you're like, oh goodness, the fact that you're telling me I'm in my peak physical condition is not a good thing. I want to be in so much better health, right? You can get into better health. But the fact of the matter is your peak fitness potential is around 30. So your muscle does not start to decline on its own until after 30. So what that means is if you are 30 or older, me, you need to work even harder to maintain and grow your muscle mass. And that percentage that it drops every 10 years increases after age 60. So again, you got to up your, people think as you age, you slow down. After 30, you up your game. After 60, you keep upping your game. The good news is too, if you take a 60-year-old that strength trains 3 to 5 times a week, that 60-year-old physically is as young as a 40-year-old who has a sedentary lifestyle. So that's how dramatic we're talking when we're talking about moving your body. You don't move it, you lose it. You have the potential to literally be as active at 60 as someone who is sedentary at 40. Women over 50 need lean muscle to maintain muscle strength, bone strength, and to stabilize the joints, which can prevent injury and help with rehabilitation if injury occurs. I'm not going to remember this exact statistic, but the number of women over age 50 that break their hip, it's much higher percentage than men. And if you break your hip within a year, you will have another injury or illness that you need to take care of. So we need to work on our bone strength. And the number one way to do that, aside from supplementing nutritionally, is to grow muscle. So when you build your muscular system, you're also building your skeletal system. Okay, this is a really important thing that I've just recently learned this, like probably within the last year of getting my certification and starting to read all these books. Calorie restriction. If you try to lose weight solely by restricting calories, which is what we've been taught more or less, it's calories in, calories out, right? 2 to 10% of what you will lose is muscle. So let me read this out so I get this right. With studies showing that around 2 to 10% of muscle mass might be lost with an 8 to 10% weight loss. Okay, that actually sounds higher. But the bottom line is if you are just calorie restricting, you will lose muscle along with your fat. And let me tell you why that's really bad. Because your muscle is part of your metabolism, right? Your muscle is an endocrine organ. Your muscle helps you burn fat. So let's say, okay, well, I'm going to start, calorie restricting until I get to my goal weight. And then let's say you restrict to something ridiculous like 1,500 calories. And so you lose a bunch of muscle. When you go back up to that 2,000 calorie diet, your metabolism has slowed down. You're going to rebound and gain more of that back. because you've lost some of that muscle that burns fat. So you need to incorporate resistance training if you are going to be in a very small calorie deficit. I have talked to a lot of trainers that have been in this field for decades, and they do not want to see rapid weight loss. That does so much crazy things for your metabolism. Like a pound a week maximum is what you should be losing while incorporating strength training. And in fact, some trainers prefer you lose nothing. Because if you are strength training and you are eating right, you're going to have body recomposition. You're going to be gaining muscle and losing fat. So you might stay the same weight, but you're going to be a healthier individual. You're going to fit in your clothes better. You're going to have this muscle, which is like a natural Spanx on your body, tightening everything up. And so we really need to shift this focus from losing weight to be healthy to building muscle. Even if you feel like you have weight to lose, build muscle. Think about building muscle, because in the long run, it's a longer game. It's not as drastic. You're not going to get as drastic a result as if you drastically reduce. But in the long run, you're going to be better off. It's going to be more sustainable. You're not going to have any of that rebound gain. And I've even heard the statistics too, and I'm not demonizing weight loss drugs because I know that you can microdose them. I know you can use them in different ways, and I just don't have a lot of experience in that field. But I have heard that up to 50% of what you lose on these weight loss drugs is your muscle mass and bone density. So we have to be very, very careful when we're just calorie restricting and not adding any exercise. Okay, so I hope I've convinced you at this point, like you want to build muscle. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit at the end about these videos that I've created and how you can start to take those and create a strength training routine that's super simple. But I want to talk a little bit about cardio because I feel like a lot of people have a hard time letting go of cardio because we've really been taught that cardio burns calories. So if you're going to reduce calories a little bit in what you eat and then burn more calories with your cardio, then that's how you're going to lose weight. But the research has come out to say that cardio might not be the most effective way to burn fat because it doesn't often burn as many calories as people think. It doesn't build significant muscle mass, which helps boost metabolism. In fact, it actually can burn off your muscles. So let's say if you're strength training one day and then cardio the next day and then strength training and then cardio, it's just like you're just staying in the same place, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, with burning muscle, growing muscle, burning muscle, growing muscle. And it can actually lead to overeating because it shows that after you do a cardio workout, you have a rebound effect of hunger where your body's like, you just burned a lot of calories, you need to fuel now. And then you end up overeating in the next meal and then not actually burning any net calories. There's also cortisol, which is a hormone released by the adrenal glands in response to stress. Cardiovascular exercise such as running, walking, swimming can temporarily increase cortisol levels. Consider your frequency and duration. So I'm not demonizing all cardio by any means because you need it for your heart and your lungs. But workouts like Orange Theory or any workout that's an hour or more where you're constantly moving and your heart rate is up the whole entire time is kind of notorious for raising your cortisol. It's too frequent, high intensity. So if you're going to enjoy a workout, like say you love cycling or something like that, I would recommend it's something that you only do once a week at max. I love running. So sometimes mentally I need a run. I need to just go out and sweat and breathe hard and run. And there's, it's like everything in moderation, but I'm not going to be running 5 miles every single day. I'm not going to be, doing that to my hormones. I'm not going to be doing that to my calorie output. I do go for about a 2-mile walk every day, and then like 2 to 3 times a month. I'm just when I'm in my high energy hormone phase, like I just want to go for a run, and that's really fine. But I would also recommend you break up your cardio. So instead of going out for an hour-long run, I'll actually do just like a 20-minute run. I'll do a 20-minute HIIT run, and that's enough for me. And you'd be surprised, even if, unless you're running a marathon, but if you say you want to be in good running shape, you like to run 5Ks, 10Ks, if you're regularly strength training, so you're strengthening your bones, you're strengthening your joints, you're strengthening your muscles, and you're going out and getting that cardiovascular exercise through walking for 30 minutes or short 20-minute runs a couple times a week, you'll be surprised at how much you are able to run and perform cardio exercise without overtraining. Okay, I definitely recommend walking. So when I'm talking about walking, I'm talking about like zone 2 cardio. You should be able to carry on a little bit of a conversation, maybe not a paragraph long talking, but a few sentences here, a few sentences there. It's great for your heart and lung function, lowers your blood pressure, reduces risk of heart disease and stroke, burns calories, increases metabolism, strengthens muscles and bones, improves balance coordination, all that good stuff. Walking is amazing. I'm a huge fan of walking. I've talked to so many trainers who, myself included, that are like, walking's not a workout. Ha ha ha. Like, it's actually something that's really necessary for our bodies, especially since we are so sedentary as a culture. If you're not hitting 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day, you need to get up and move. And research shows you actually get more benefit if you walk throughout the day rather than just going for one walk that gets you to hit your 7,000 steps. If you walk a little bit in the morning, a little bit in the afternoon, a little bit in the evening, that's actually more beneficial for your body. Okay. So hopefully I've encouraged you to think about building muscle first, zone 2 cardio in small increments throughout the week, only occasional high intensity cardio if you want, and definitely not for an hour. I didn't talk about VO2 max, but I'll just briefly mention that in case you've ever heard VO2 max. VO2 max is like the amount of oxygen transfer. So how they test for that is like you wear an oxygen mask like while running on a treadmill at the doctor's office. And if you want to work on your VO2 max, you can do like 4-minute bursts, like twice a week, all out. But again, we're not talking about an hour. We're talking about 4 minutes. Strength training is where you need to start though. And that's where I want you guys to focus on this boot camp, especially if you're just beginning a fitness routine. There are 6 main movements that I have created videos for that I'll share in this group: the squat, hinge, press, row, rotation, and split stance. So there are 6 basic movement patterns that you can do: body weights, with weights, slightly different form, slightly different equipment. You can vary them up, but it's that simple where there really are 6 main moves. And it's so interesting as I've done so many crazy workouts, you guys. Like, I'm a Beachbody girl. I've done all the workouts, like, and it's so funny. It got to a point with one of the trainers where, gosh, she was trying to make it so complicated. And it felt like at some point, like, you're just trying to think of something new. But like, there's nothing new here. You're like, hold this and move here and row here and press here. And like, it just was like, this is complicated. It's like hurting my brain. I'm not getting a good workout because I can't get the coordination or the choreography of this move, right? You're just overcomplicating it. And then when I went through my personal training and I saw these like movement patterns, it was like, yeah, that makes sense. We're trying so hard to make it complicated. It's not complicated. It's 6 moves. The most important thing is your form. And so that's why I created these videos, because the other big issue that I had with my Beachbody workouts is I would watch videos of people doing the workouts. Once they went to the live platform, you see people in the videos, and I'm watching them do the workout and they're doing it so wrong. They're not getting the movement. They're doing more harm than good. And it's like they really need more. They need to slow the workout down and explain the form better. And they really need someone walking alongside them, telling them this is how you do the move. But they're just trying to get in the most calorie burn in those 30 minutes. And that's not always the most important thing. You need to make sure you get your form right, because all of these movements happen in your activities of daily life. And so if you're not moving right in your workout, you're not going to move right in your day, and that's going to just lead to injury. I've talked to so many people that have partnered with me with Beachbody that have injured their backs, and it just completely derails you from your training. So these are the 6 moves. I'm very excited to share them with you. I just posted the second video, which is on the hinge movement. This is one a lot of people struggle with. Watch them once, watch them every day, do them every day. Or once you watch the video, just set aside 10 minutes to say, I'm going to do 10 minutes of squats. Break it into 4 sets. Do squats for a minute, give yourself a minute or 2 break, do squats for a minute, give yourself a minute, do squats for a minute, do the dishes, do squats for a minute, vacuum, do squats for a minute, help your kids get a snack, right? It doesn't have to be complicated, but these are the 6 basic movements. Next. Okay. So key points to remember when you're watching these videos: any amount of time counts. So if you have 5 minutes, do 5 minutes. If you have 20 minutes, do 20 minutes. Now that you know a squat and a hinge, you could do 10 minutes of squatting, 10 minutes of hinging, or alternate squat, hinge, squat, hinge, and do 3 or 4 sets of both. Endurance and power movements are both good. So you may hear people saying, lift heavy shit, lift heavy shit. That's like the new thing for women. Lift heavy, lift heavy. Don't use those girly little pink weights. Do not lift heavy if you do not have the form down and you're going to hurt yourself. Do not lift heavy if you are recently postpartum or you have pelvic floor issues or you have weak core. There are so many reasons why you may not want to lift heavy until you build up the muscle. Especially, I mean, I've many times, I struggle with my knees, especially postpartum when there's relaxin in my muscles. I cannot do power movements. I cannot lift heavy. I cannot grab a 40 or 50-pound kettlebell and do squats when my knees are in that condition. I have to build up the strength around my knee joint. I have to wait till the relaxin leaves my muscles. I have to focus on that endurance movement. So when I say endurance movement, I'm talking about like 15 reps, 12 to 15 reps or more, body weight only or low weights. You're almost feeling like you're getting a little bit of a cardio workout. So you give yourself a long break between sets. Power movements, I'm talking about lifting so heavy that you can only get about 4 or 5 reps in before you feel like you have to stop because you're going to either drop the weight or lose your form. So there's a big range there between endurance and power. All are good. All are good. They serve different purposes. Okay. Endurance is good. Maybe you're going to go hike up a mountain. You need endurance. Power movements are good. Maybe you've got to like sprint after your toddler at a moment's notice. That's power movement. You need both for life. So whatever you can fit in is good. Whatever you have the equipment for is good. Whatever your body is capable of is good. Listen to your body. So there's a big difference between something being physically difficult and painfully uncomfortable. Lean into the difficult, but if something is painfully uncomfortable, take a modification of reducing your range of motion, make the movement smaller, grab onto something for stability, lower your weights, really listen to your body because the most important thing is that you're doing this movement for the long haul and building up strength over time, right? We want to see progressive overload, slowly being able to lift heavier. And if you injure yourself, you're not going to be able to do that. Form and mind muscle connection. There are awesome studies. This is so fascinating to me where if you think about flexing a muscle, it does something to that muscle. So let's just imagine like you're laying on the ground and you're going to do a crunch, but you don't have the core strength to do a crunch, but you're thinking about doing a crunch and you're trying to do a crunch. If you are continually thinking about doing that move, eventually you're going to get up off the floor because it's all about your mind muscle connection, those nerve pathways getting strengthened. So even if your squat is literally 2 inches down and 2 inches up, when you're thinking about doing it and thinking about flexing the right muscle, you're going to make so much progress. So your form and your mind muscle connection are what really matters here. And similarly, if you can lift heavy, but you're not actually focused on the movement, you're not going to get the full benefit of it. All right, 4-2-2 counts is what I did in these videos. So this is what is recommended for the best results for hypertrophy, which is muscle growth. You can mix this up. So if you want to go fastest tempo possible, that's more of like a power movement, fast twitch muscle. But 4-2-2, so that means 4 is resisting on the way down, 2 counts holding that max range of motion movement, and then 2 counts a little bit explosive up. And you want to do as many reps as you can with whatever weight you have, such that you have 1 rep in reserve, meaning if you did 1 more rep, you would collapse because you're not able to do 1 more. And then I recommend doing 2 to 4 sets. So just as an example, let's say that I have a 40-pound dumbbell and I want to do some heavy I want to do some heavy squats. So I have a 40-pound kettlebell. I'm doing sumo squats. I can get in 8 4-2-2 counts. On that 9th one, I feel like I'm going to drop the kettlebell. So I stop, I set it down. I give myself 30 seconds to a minute of rest. And then I try to do a second set. I can decide to do the same weight. And maybe this time I only get in 7 reps. I give myself rep and I just keep going. But if I'm using a lightweight, or let's just say no weights, and I can get in 20 reps before I feel like my legs are going to collapse, then I'll do 20 reps, give myself as much rest as I need to be able to jump in. And I do recommend you do 2 to 4 sets if you can, whatever time allows. you guys can do this while your kids at soccer practice, while your kids are playing on the park. Like you can fit it into your day any which way. I do my workout sometimes outside the window at the little gym while I watch my 3-year-old do her class. While my kids are in their parkour class, I will just, instead of sitting down next to the other parents, I'll do my squats because I'm not gonna just sit on my booty while they're working, getting a sweat. I'm gonna get a sweat too. So these are things that you can fit in literally anytime, any place. The upper body, you need a little bit more equipment, but for the lower body, those are great for on the go. All right, that is the end of this presentation. I hope that I gave you some good information to think on. I'm gonna stop the share. There we go. I hope I gave you guys some good food for thought about like building strength, and I hope that I made it feel manageable, where you feel like you can fit in these little pockets of movement regardless of how crazy your day is. I always say like there are literally no reasons why you can't exercise like 350 days a year. And when I say exercise, I'm not talking about doing like an hour-long workout. I'm just talking about moving because our bodies are meant to move every day. And I say 350 days because sometimes you're sick, like I was. Like I was the last like week and a half, and I could not. I could not. My body had to save up all the energy, or you're really injured, or there's something like that. But vacations, kids being sick, you stand next to their sick bed, you do some squats. Like you can always move your body, and you'll always feel better afterwards. So I hope that that made it like manageable for you to think about kicking off some movement. And I hope that I inspired you to realize that building muscle really matters, not just for body recomposition, but for longevity. If anyone has any questions, either type them in the chat or just unmute yourself. Like this open conversation. Page is good. I'm going to stop the
I've
recording.
watched you for just a little while.
I know. The last time I really talked to you was when we did the gut protocol so long ago.
I know,
Ah,
forever ago.
I know. Oh, the new little one. She's so darling. Oh my
Thank
God.
you.
Ah. So you're like back at the starting line in so many ways. I know that feeling where you just
Hmm.
have to get back to the routine.
Yep. It's the willpower part that I'm struggling with.
Yeah. Well, I hope we can hold you accountable a little bit to just moving in a way that feels good for your body. And all of
Hmm.
the form cues in the squat video are great for postpartum too.
Yeah.
I definitely recommend starting with no weights or at most holding your baby, or something that's as light or lighter than your baby. Don't go too hard too soon.
Yeah.
Um, I know that like for recovery, your kids need you active and moving. So
Hmm.
gotta start
Yes.
training for that.
Yes. I'm like, I'm gonna have to keep up with three pretty soon here. Probably should start.
My gosh. And it just feels good too. It's just a
Hmm.
good way to like get back in touch with your body and help it feel good again. Anyone else have anything to add? I'm going to stop the recording. That way, if you guys have anything to say that you don't want recorded, you'll have an opportunity to do so.